Or there it goes. Okay. Welcome back here. Another week here at Sport Hitters to go over some of what's happened in the world of wrestling. I'm Vito Tomaselli, and of course I have Frank. I always do the wrong way.
Look at
Frank,
that. I look pretty
the
jacked.
clown.
Look at that.
Well,
You got to give me a little bit of credit right now. I look a little jacked.
It's got to
I
be
don't know if it's
lighting.
the way
Well,
the shirt is cut, but look at that. Look at that.
jacked.
I mean, jacked is a relative term, but I mean,
You look jacked like if a cat got thrown out of a car and like rolled on the ground. It was
look at
jacked
your
up.
shoulders. Look like I kind of got like these Bill Goldberg tramps going.
I
Look
mean,
at that.
we're gonna do this now.
I got like the Wardlow shirt where he's got it all tied like that.
Here, put your arm by
It's
mine,
getting
and
weird
then
real quick.
and then we'll do a comparison.
My arm hurts now suddenly.
Yeah.
Sorry, I flexed myself
Get
now.
the delts, the whole thing. Oh man, yeah. The last time you were at the gym, go.
Last time I was walked into a gym or actually performed weightlifting activities at said gym.
Both.
Yeah, it's been a little bit.
Yeah, probably both.
I'm all natty, baby. I don't know who needs it when you look like this.
Let me ask you a question. When you go to a gym, do you know what to do? Like if you had to go to a gym today and then again tomorrow, what do you do?
You pick up the heavy weights and you put them back down. In theory,
Exactly
that's
right.
what you do.
I would love to get Frank the Clown in shape. We should do like a Sport
I
Hitters.
am in shape. What are we doing
you're
here?
Pull up your shirt. Let's see
look at what I'm wearing.
Let's see your belly. Let's see your belly.
Huh?
Hey, show
All
me your
this
belly.
is getting weird quick. All right, let's.
I'm trying to get a fitness challenge going on here, Frank.
This went off the rails in 90 seconds.
It is what it is. Well, look, welcome back to Sport Hitters. This has been a crazy week here for the Dialed In podcast. A lot of news is popping up all over the place, but we are getting into WrestleMania season. We're flying through the month of December. It seems like since our last conversation, a whole bunch has happened, yet nothing's really happened in the world of wrestling. But some interesting cards are coming out, which means there are going to be some interesting nights of friends playing against friends over on the Sport Hitters app itself. So, Frank, I always like to kick it off to you. What's the hottest thing going on in the industry right now? What's everyone talking about? What are we missing? What are we not missing? What's up?
So, as you said, WrestleMania season's around the corner, which means Royal Rumble. And now the WWE is starting to build for the Royal Rumble. They're doing, they're having those who announce they're in the match. And I'm sure they're going to have, various matches to let people into the Royal Rumble, qualifying matches and whatnot. So it's an exciting time. But normally, like right before the end of the year here, they kind of coast a little bit because there's still like 6 weeks of the Rumble. So the Rumble doesn't even need a build. The Royal Rumble that's all you need. It's the Royal Rumble. It sells itself. So yeah, you're going to have other matches on the card, and who is Roman Reigns going to defend his title?
But hold on, but they have carryover, right? Because obviously Triple H is coming out of the box swinging. When in past times they would stop around September, right, and then they coast into Survivor Series, and then post Survivor Series is dead.
Yeah,
but not. But right now though, storyline wise, I don't think they've ever been this busy. Yeah, as a company, like they're right or wrong? Am I giving them too much credit?
No, I think you're right because there's a lot of overarching stories. There's obviously the Bloodline story that's been going on. There's there's good stories in the women's division. There's the Seth Rollins story, the Austin Theory, Bobby Lashley. So there's a lot of stories that are developing right now that I would assume are going to pay off at the Rumble or even further down the road at WrestleMania. So it is the holidays obviously are just TV ratings and all that dip a little bit anyways around this time of year. So that's why I think football's still going strong. It's going into the playoffs and everything, and they're going head to head with that. So once the first of the year kicks off, traditionally that first Raw of the year, they've always tried to build up pretty well. And then also I think I read that the December 30th SmackDown, the last one of the year, John Cena's coming back. So that says a lot right there that they're trying to
hold on, let's park for a second. Why is he coming back? Is it a one-off shot, boom, spark the start of it, or does he have something going on?
I think it's to plant a seed for something going on. Like, yeah, they want to pop a rating, of course. Anytime they can get John Cena.
But that's always fair.
It's in his hometown. It's in Tampa. So he just gets up and he drives a couple minutes and goes to the show. So that also probably is a big factor in it. But I think he definitely, because the last time he showed up was like his 20th anniversary over the summer, and he didn't do anything really. He did some backstage.
That's what I mean. Is it one of those where he's there? It's a payday. He shows up. He waves. They make a new shirt.
It's very possible, but I think there's going to be more substance to it this time because they just did that a couple months ago where there was really nothing to it. They did some backstage segments where they teased some stuff, but ultimately he just came out and cut a promo and that was it. No one interrupted him.
Does he have a movie? Does he have a movie coming up that he's here to advertise? Could that be?
He always has movies coming up.
Well, there you go.
But I don't think there's anything that's like directly releasing, as far as I know, like right now. But I mean, he always has something to promote at this point. But I mean, he's going to be involved in WrestleMania. I mean, it's again, it's Hollywood WrestleMania. He will be there.
Yeah,
he wasn't there last year, surprisingly, but I don't think he's missing 2 years in a row. So
the Hollywood thing really changes the game on this one, because they do have to bring a little. There's got to be a red carpet event, right? I mean, besides like the normal part of it, but like the idea of what you see at anything Hollywood, right? Yeah. So what? Glitz and glam. Do we have a cool stage this year? Do we have a kind of unique entrance area?
For sure. Yeah, I think they're going to go balls out this year. And like you said, it's Hollywood. The stars have to come out. When you think Hollywood and wrestling, you think of John Cena and The Rock. So you have to have both of them there in some capacity. And again, Cena doesn't have to wrestle. There are rumors. I don't even know if you're privy to this. There's rumors of a John Cena Logan Paul match.
We've talked about it on this show before, or at least Tom and I have.
I love it.
I can't wait for it. I think it's the only match you have for both of them. Like, so John Cena comes back and loses to Baron Corbin. Does anybody want that?
No.
Like, John Cena comes back and loses, because John Cena's got to come back and lose now. Like, that's.
Does he though? Because it doesn't hurt Logan Paul if he loses to John Cena.
No, hold on. If he's going to come back on a talent base to get somebody over, that's what he should be coming back to do at this point in his life. If he's coming back to wrestle some star, then yeah, John Cena should not lose. Like
Logan over still, like the Roman Reigns Logan Paul match. Logan lost that match.
You're missing it.
Like a bigger star.
If we've learned one thing, when Rusev comes out on a tank and is basically undefeated, and then John Cena pins him clear in the middle like a flat plate of piss, it doesn't help anybody. Like that,
I think that's different than Logan Paul though, because Logan Paul is his own star.
He's different. I'm not talking him. I'm saying a roster member. If Cena's going to come back to do something with a roster member.
If it was Cena versus Austin Theory would have to win that match.
And that's a real stretch, but he'd have to, because if not, what's the point of that? So what, he got in there and got to feel WrestleMania with John Cena, but he didn't do. But the fans said, yeah, he's a jobber. It didn't help him.
Cena faced Bray Wyatt. It was Bray Wyatt's first match at WrestleMania 30.
Did you miss what I just said? The guy comes out on a tank. That's what I'm talking about. He comes out on a tank. Yeah. Or Rusev comes out on a tank, man, and it's over for him. So that's what I mean. You got to be careful today of these upcoming stars. But Logan Paul, he's got to get a win.
But he beat The Miz at SummerSlam.
Yeah, but it's time for, you got to realize, his public that are not wrestling fans, after WrestleMania, are they tuning into SummerSlam if he's beaten for a third time? Do they really care at that point?
I think he's a special attraction enough where people are going to keep coming back for more no matter what.
I think you got to give him a win, or he doesn't have any juice.
I don't think he would have any issue with putting Logan Paul over, and I don't think it doesn't have to be.
I don't think it works there. I think Cena and Logan Paul together against a heel tag team where they both win, and he gets to get the Cena juice in the middle of the ring, and they can do like Hogan poses at the end of the night. That does way more for Logan Paul than him beating John Cena, because he beats John Cena at WrestleMania. There's a lot of purists that are going to be like, what the fuck? And then there's also going to be but there's also, I don't know. I don't think it works the same. Put him in a tag team and let him beat who?
It could be anyone. I mean, they had
it should be important
versus R-Truth and The Miz, so you could throw together any two guys. Why not like Gable and Otis?
That's what I'm saying. If they would have done the right thing with those guys all year round instead of not putting them to feud against each other for no reason, which you can see that happening, that would have been the time. And then those two idiots just lay down to those guys, and then you get the big WrestleMania moment, fourth on the show, where Cena makes him a huge star. And then going into SummerSlam, he gets an Intercontinental title match and wins. Now you have momentum. I know you don't understand that part about wrestling, Frank, but they used to do that back in the day, where they gave guys a little bit of trucker dust. They got him hopped up, and then they got him over, and then they didn't job him. They let him keep getting over after they did a really cool thing. So I know they don't do that in today's environment, but that's how I would book Logan Paul, and that's what would happen. You get super over.
I just caught a stray bullet there from Vito.
Yeah, you millennial.
But I think, it's because, again, like you said, what kind of match you put John Cena and what kind of match you put Logan Paul in. Obviously, you got to still be careful with who you're booking Logan Paul against in terms of just the wrestling itself, like the match itself. You can't just put him in there against anyone. Yes, he's proven.
That's what I mean. So you want them coming out of it. But you want them coming out of there happy and good, and he got over, and his stock goes up.
Yeah,
like you don't have to beat him again. That's why it's weird if they do that and then they beat him. It's like, why? Right. So, but a tag match and they got matching hookups. Hell yeah.
Yeah. I'm in.
I like that. Now, are you ready? Are you ready to remember a couple shows back, you were adamant that Sami Zayn was going to win the Royal Rumble and then use his Royal Rumble spot at some jobber event. Elimination Chamber. Are you ready to tell me now that's not going to happen? Are you ready to come back to reality?
I'll say this. No, but yes, a little bit.
Bold.
I am also coming to the realization that there's a very good chance that Roman Reigns is going to wrestle on both nights of WrestleMania. And in order for that to happen, the Royal Rumble winner has to be one of those two matches. Otherwise, how do you get to two matches? So in that scenario, Sami Zayn would not win the Rumble, but I absolutely still think there's a very legitimate chance that Sami Zayn could win the Royal Rumble. I can't walk it back 2 weeks after.
Don't they look at if they do this the right way? And let's talk about this for a second, because there might be a wrong way to do this. Royal Rumble happens, and it's awesome, like it is every year. And the final four is whatever it is. But the final two is Cody Rhodes and Sami Zayn. And let's say whatever happened, something occurred. That crowd's electric. Now, let me Tweedledee and Tweedledum you for a second. One, Cody Rhodes wins, and that's who he should win. But then he has a chance of being Rey Mysterio, where he gets the Daniel Bryan treatment for being number 30, right? And people are just mad at him for winning and beating Sami Zayn. If they get him that, if he does something hot, right? Which could happen. Or Sami beats Cody. That doesn't work either.
Yeah. So you have to keep them separated.
One more. Or both of them, and we do a Lex Luger, Bret Hart type finish where they double feet on the ground, and then that's how they both get a match at WrestleMania against Roman Reigns.
That would be satisfying. I don't think. Yeah, that's really interesting. Wow. But you're right, because Sammy's so over. You don't want to have Cody come back and put him in an uncomfortable position where suddenly the crowd isn't fully behind him, because the whole story with Cody is that the crowd is 100% fully behind him. So if you put him against Sami Zayn, not necessarily like just the fact that they're across the ring from each other, it doesn't help anyone. So I think will help Sami if anything, but it doesn't help Cody.
Let me ask you this. Sami being put in a weird situation where Roman demands he hops over the top rope.
No, I think there's a very legitimate chance that something like that can happen.
That should be a prop. Is Sami forced?
Right.
On his own regard or something, because I think they're leading to something where they're going to start pressuring him. And I think when we bring Mitch in a little bit, I think we'll ask him about that. But I'm convinced that they're going to get into some really fun stuff in this Rumble with that. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, no, Sami Zayn will, if he gets eliminated from this Rumble and doesn't win it, he's not just going to get tossed over the top like nothing. There is going to be a story to his elimination. He's not just Baron Corbin's not going to come in and wing him out of there. Or,
Solo does something goofy with the spike.
Or one of them mistakenly eliminates the other. Right. Yeah. And then there's the rift in the bloodline.
But isn't that though, at this point, that isn't enough, because they've already, like, at this point now, like, Sammy's proven himself on their side. So like a little thing like that isn't enough. It needs to be something where it's like,
what if Sammy eliminates Solo? Right. And then he looks at him and he's just like, oh.
But that's what I'm thinking for the drama aspect of, if at the end they're all hype, right? Let's say Sammy and 3 other people are the final 4. At this point now, here comes Roman coming down the ramp.
Yeah.
Now the crowd looks back and these guys do their thing and he's like, out, right now, out. And let's say Sammy says, like, why would I do that? Someone comes at him, Sammy dunks, that guy goes over the top rope, and then he does this, and Roman's like, get out, right? That's fun, no? And then he turns around, now he's got to fight.
I think it's
That's
awesome.
Fantastic, right? And then they're turning into this whole other thing, and if he peels out at that point now, you have Roman's opponent for whenever he's ready to come back, because him and Sammy got to do business.
Yeah. I think the final 4 can easily be something like a Sammy, Kevin Owens, Cody, and Rollins. And that way, Cody and Sammy are not the final 2, right? Sammy gets dumped out right before that, so the crowd doesn't have to.
But listen to me. What if Roman demands he gets out of the ring and he does it?
I know. I think he does it.
He doesn't.
He does not.
No, he does it. Okay, and climbs over. And just goes like, fuck, why'd you make me do that? But I did it. Like, okay, but that's.
I think that's anticlimactic. I like your idea, the first video, way more, where the
bloodline too, but they won't do that.
Like, oh my God, he might win this, and
right.
he's
in,
and they come out, they're pressuring him, or they just come in and that's what
I'm saying. So let's say there's 2 people left in there, and during that thing, he does hop out, and now it's up to Cody and whoever to do whatever they do. That's a weird spot they're being handed. So that's what I mean. I don't see any of this happening. there's a disconnecting point we're missing somewhere.
Yeah.
But there's so many fun things they can do, and they'll do none of it, I think, because they're so weird about some stuff. But the storytelling here can be great.
No, there will definitely be storytelling to Sammy's elimination. He's not just going to be in there and make it to the end and just get tossed over. There will be a layer of something because they've nuanced and layered the storytelling all the way through every step of the way. So it's a perfect opportunity to go in the Rumble and tell a good story. And I think the solo stuff, because I don't see the Usos in the Royal Rumble. Right, it wouldn't make sense. They'll
be in there because they're going to have to get behind. That could be where like something occurs and like maybe they're all protecting. They have to be in there for the drama and the talent. They don't have any talent anymore on the roster. They have a million wrestlers, but they have no talent. The Usos are talent.
So yeah, I love the idea of
Roman's not in it, right? But could you imagine like tromping down, no music, just tromping down like pissed off, right?
Yeah.
There's something there, but it's how heavy do they want to go with Sammy? And part of me thinks they're going to set something up with Sammy and Kevin Owens and the Usos in the Royal Rumble, and then they get those guys at Elimination Chamber
suddenly, and they eliminate them both.
Or does Sammy at that point go like "fuck you guys" and then super kicks them out? Yes, they do something goofy too because him and Kevin have they're the real bloodline. Like they call themselves some kind of the Montreal bloodline or something leading into Montreal for the big Elimination Chamber. They're going to get the belts. That makes so much sense. But they got a hot shot at this point because they got a really hot shot at this point. Man, we're running out of time.
Right,
you know?
right. Yep, yeah.
The thing is that bloodline, it's so hot right now, and the shirts are selling. There's no reason to really. If wrestling wasn't about pushing stuff to the next pay-per-view, and this was the 80s, they would sit on this for a long time.
Oh yeah, back in the day, you used to book WrestleMania to WrestleMania. You know, it's
or you wouldn't change it at all if you didn't have to. Hogan just goes over again. There's no reason to job him. Like we're gonna keep pushing this another 5 years. Today, you're like, oh, we got to move on.
People have the patience. People have the attention span. So you know the fact that they've had Roman be champion for as long as he has, and also done this bloodline story and kept people invested in it.
The people that don't have the patience is the WWE management. We do have the patience. We watch this. We watched it because they had the patience. It's us as the fans have the patience, but it's what's being shown to us that we can only regurgitate what they're giving us. And then, dude, 90 hours of television a week is tough to do, whatever they're doing these days. So, but I want to ask you one more thing before we go ahead and bring in Mitch here. Bayley, heel faction Bayley girls against other girls now. And now they just like filter new girls in. And it's like, since WrestleMania, what is this? Is this just mid-range girl fights? That's what this is. What this is taking over, or are we going to see anything out of this? Because it seems like they got to do something, or this is just another pass by.
No, I don't think Bayley is not going to be factored into the WrestleMania of like singles match plans because she just had this long feud with Bianca and didn't win, so she's not going to be thrusted back into it. So there's going to be a mishmash girls match that will be, Does
Bayley need to go away and learn a new hold somewhere else? I don't mean
she was gone for like a year and a half.
No, like go wrestle somewhere else. And I don't mean AEW. I mean like go do something. You're in this weird, like Cody Rhodes, right? Like Cody Rhodes, he could have taken 7 years off, done nothing, and then went back there and would not be Cody Rhodes. Going to AEW, going to Japan, going to Ring of Honor, doing that whole what he did, it made him such a bigger star. Doesn't she need that?
Yeah, I mean,
Or she's always number 6 on the card, no? I mean, she's never going to be back what she was. She's never going to be Bayley again. We know that, right?
Well, the original Bayley was fun, babyface, happy-go-lucky.
I'm talking over. I'm saying she'll never be that over again.
Yeah, I don't think she can get to that point again because that was kind of like lightning in the bottle situation too. So I think that she, I like her as a heel. I don't think she's necessarily incredible as a heel, and I think she does work well with the faction. But I just think that she, there's a logjam. There's going to be a logjam in the women's division because, again, Charlotte will be back at some point, I'm sure, very soon. You have Ronda Rousey, who's basically holding up one of the championships. Bianca has been built to be basically unbeatable. You have Becky, Rhea Ripley.
Yeah. And then not for nothing, you have the aunt who's a good hand in Natty Neidhart also. Like they're not getting rid of her anytime soon.
And
she'll be there forever.
They've gotten behind Liv and Shotzi. They're trying to get behind some newer blood, and Bayley's been there forever. So, I feel like she's a good hand. But
is she Tamina Snuka in 5 years from now?
No.
Where you don't give a shit about her at all.
No, because Bayley still has like that history and that NXT stuff and the 4 horsewomen that people respect and people still
I'll say this.
As a bigger star.
That lead in, that storyline, those 2 matches with Sasha Banks, when you want to point to really, really, really amazing wrestling, not women's or men's wrestling, that match they have is one of the most incredible.
It was awesome. Yeah.
I'll tell you, man, like both Rhodes brothers fighting each other in the bloodbath, magical. Joe Necro, to me, 2005, magical. Like there's certain things in wrestling that happen. That match is magical. I don't care what number you put it in yours, but you can't say that's not one of the greatest professional wrestling matches done, period.
Yeah, again, I was there for it. The crowd was, I mean, it was awesome. It was, everybody kind of
story was perfect
in history. And they went out there and delivered, and they were made from that night forward. That's why Bayley will always be on a different level than like a Tamina Snuka, just because she has those moments where, like in Tamina's case, they never really got behind Tamina. She's just been like Jimmy Snuka's daughter and kind of like the enforcer for like 15 years.
Yeah, it's true. You know what's funny about your shirt now? It looks like you're transitioning, which is fine, but it looks like you're wearing like a crop top, like a summer crop top with your nice hair. Like you should have like a nice little skirt on.
It is nice cut unusually. I would.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a summer crop top.
This is where the seams are, so I had to cut it here rather than on my shoulders.
I'm gonna have Mitch be the guy. Mitch, are you out there? I need somebody to give me some feedback. Mitch, what's your thoughts on that crop? It looks like a crop top. Doesn't it? Like he should be wearing a jean skirt.
I've got to be careful what I say here. It's interesting. It's a great shirt. It's interesting.
Great shirt.
Admittedly, I grabbed this for this podcast today. I saw it sitting there.
Yeah.
Again, the story behind this was I was supposed to derobe. I had it under a suit I was wearing when I got good old Cactus Jack to turn heel and join FTC. And I had it under my suit, and I was going to take off the suit to reveal to the crowd, oh, look what I had. And I forgot. And it's haunted me ever since. I never got to show this off. I had a full outfit made, the pants, matching pants. So I saw it sitting like next to my bed, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna wear it today. So here we are.
Is this a foreshadow for tomorrow for you, or isn't it tomorrow that you have something, or is it this Saturday?
I have some stuff tomorrow, but Cactus
this has nothing to do with
it. No.
Okay. Listen, sitting backstage, I was listening to what you guys were saying, and it brought up a lot of questions that I have. I think the biggest one is that I honestly see Logan Paul as a big opportunity for the WWE because I have never been a Logan Paul guy, Jake Paul guy, this or that. What he did, I thought, in that wrestling match against Roman Reigns was very impressive to me. I thought I didn't think he had that in him. When he went off that top rope and the elevation that he got when Reigns was on the table and he, whatever you call that, off the top rope and did that, he had to be 15 feet in the air. I thought that was one of the most impressive things I've seen in the last year following wrestling. So to me, there is a star, and he's probably at the right age that they could bring up and bring in all those viewers. And I think the wrestling fans would adapt to him because if you get enough sample size, you can say that dude is actually pretty talented in wrestling. Now, I'm not talking about boxing, but what he can do in wrestling, I think is I was impressed. And I don't like saying it. I actually don't like saying it, but it's true. You have to respect what he did. And the other one is, after talking to Vito last night, I went and I watched a couple of the Gunther matches. And what went through my mind was, man, this guy's old school. This guy's old school, like 80s old school out there. Like the stuff that I used to watch when Hogan was out there or when Andre the Giant. Like he doesn't do a lot of stuff off the ropes. He doesn't do a lot. Everything is kind of in the ring, and he's got a signature move. One thing I noticed is when he does his finisher, he wins. He does that reverse slam or whatever you call that thing, he wins. And so I think that 2023 is going to be a massive year for the WWE. I think it could just be like, I don't want to call it a reboot, but I think some of what your conversation was, I agree with as a fan of old school wrestling, because I missed the John Cena years. I missed the 92 to now, whatever the Attitude
everything,
Era, I guess it's called.
Yeah,
like I've missed all that, right? So my recollection when I start to see stuff now is, okay, how does this compare? Like, I think if they brought Hogan back and he did one time, he dropped the leg, that would be the move of the year already. That would light up an arena and be like, oh, that's the greatest match I've ever seen. And
His
just
hip would
because
explode.
yeah, I mean, so I was like, wow, there it is,
flying into the crowd.
And you know how I feel about snooker. I mean, no one can get like Logan Paul's move was the closest thing I've seen to somebody doing a snooker move, where he literally went up and off the ropes, not
it's that super
across.
athleticism.
Yeah, so that to me is interesting, and some of the stuff that you guys are talking about with these matchups, I'm interested to see what Cena's going to do. I want to know what he's going to do on the 30th and how they're going to bring him in, and if they're going to roll this thing up. Because as a guy that missed all these generations, man, I'm going to get hated for this. When I see Roman Reigns, I don't see a guy that should be a champion for 2 years. I see somebody that they should
you're wrong.
move. I see somebody they should. It's time for a new. I could see them making a move. And I'll be honest.
It's always a wrestling. You have to look at it and go, to who? And that's their problem. They haven't done the work. Now.
They've got Logan Paul. They've got, listen, that dude is legit.
But you have legit. To carry that though, and then weekly, like there's so much to go.
Dude, the guy has a massive following. He's already carrying 25 million people.
You're missing it. You're missing it. It's like, for instance, like if I could play the guitar, and let's say I can do Guns N' Roses' "Sweet Child of Mine," and I can do it perfectly. And you're like, man, Vito, I'm gonna bring it in my bar. Can you do everything Guns N' Roses? I'm like, I sure can. And like 30 minutes in, you're like, this idiot still playing "Sweet Child." Like, I'm not Guns N' Roses.
Well,
right? So like there's levels of all that. He's got to come up. He's got to find his voice.
Can't they bring somebody up and let them win for a year and then replace him? I mean, and then have him be part of the scene. If you
do it wrong, and you give him too much too soon, he's nobody too soon. So with him, he is still a special attraction. So he needs wins over not over important people, because you don't want the wrestling fans to turn on him, but you don't want him losing to bigger names.
Why don't you want wrestling fans turning on him? I mean, doesn't that's an emotion? You want that emotion, no?
Not today. You want Twitter followers, you want impressions, you want likes on your followers, you want t-shirt sales. There's more to it. So then the big heel turn comes. But for those Logan Paul, man, they're unique, because you want to hate them, and then you listen to them, and 10 minutes into it, you're like, am I still listening to this? Because they suck you in.
Yeah.
You can't teach that. That's a thing that those guys have. So you don't want to lose that too soon. So you got to keep what's special about them. They have something so unique. They had this with Ronda Rousey, and today she's not special anymore. So what happens is they give the special to too many people, and then what happens is they're not special anymore. So with him, I hope they see what they did with Ronda, because the special went away. Frank?
And also this is Tom's point of Roman Reigns had a title for 2 years. There has to be a satisfying conclusion to that reign. To the wrestling fans, Logan Paul beating Roman Reigns would not have been a satisfying conclusion, because in our minds, they put it on the part-timer celebrity influencer. It's not satisfying for anybody. Cody Rhodes beating Roman Reigns and being that person to take it off, to tell the story that he never held the WWE Championship. His father never had the opportunity to hold it. He leaves to start a rival company to then come back and put this on his family's name. That is a satisfying conclusion.
And then he gets hurt. Hold on. He gets hurt, and then he has one of the greatest matches we've ever seen on television. Again, in the last 5 years, this guy's 3 years or so, he's had matches that when you point to them, they are perfect professional wrestling matches in 2022, which you can't say that.
Yeah, it has to be. It's like a movie. You watch a movie for 2 hours, and you watch the Avengers, and the big villain, and Thanos is destroying the world and wiping out half the population. But at the end, they all come together and they give you that satisfying conclusion. Logan Paul, to Vito's point, he should win matches, but he shouldn't win the title. He doesn't need the title. He's there. His presence is there enough for the mainstream. I could absolutely see him winning the title at some point.
But now here, the way wrestling works is, so you sprinkle a little bit of dust on him. He teams up with John Cena. Now the crowd likes him even more. Now he goes into SummerSlam.
Him as in that spot.
And let's say between WrestleMania and SummerSlam, Drew McIntyre turns heel because he's mad Logan Paul has taken his spot. Let's just say that's what it is, right? So he starts doing dastardly things to him. So they now build that up. Drew is perfect because Drew's a main eventer that they've sprinkled main event dust on that other main eventers have jobbed to, but he didn't work. So now you got to give that spot to Logan Paul. If Logan Paul puts some of those in his pocket and takes a few Drew McIntyres down, Now he builds to next WrestleMania or whenever, and now he fights that champion who's on the come down. He's now on the come up. Now you put the belt on him. Now you've made money. That's wrestling. This is called hot shotting. We don't want a hot shot. We want to mature it to where when it happens, everybody's all bought in, and we can do that with him.
How do you not buy into what he did? The move that he went off the.
It's one thing, dude.
Many people have done that move in the past, man.
Yeah, this you have to understand.
That high off that
Vince McMahon
ropes.
was the originator of that move. Vince McMahon's son, Shane McMahon, had done it dozens of times over the years.
Yeah, but I mean, you have to understand, dude, jumping off the top rope to the outside of the ring, what you saw there is like a 3.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go that far.
Wait a second.
People are doing double moonsaults and Spanish flies.
Yeah, but I'm not as impressed with that because they're going down immediately. They're not going up and out. What I saw was the guy that went up and out.
Yeah, Google Shawn Michaels in anything in 90, and he was doing that in the 90s.
Okay,
through the announce table.
Now you're proving my point because you just had to go back to the 90s to come up with a reference.
Every single pay-per-view since '83, they've done that. That's a very normal thing. The main events blow that spot. They jump off there. If you have a babyface champion like CM Punk, every single one of his matches he broke that announce table that way, off the top rope, big elbow to the outside, crowd loses their mind.
He did at WrestleMania against the Undertaker, and he did
it a lot. Google CM Punk announce table and tell me how many fucking.
To Vito's point, I think Vito is exaggerating a little bit. It's
a big spot.
That spot is a big spot. It's happened often over the years, but often.
Let me ask this: Vito, you just got done talking about talent, not enough talent. When you looked at what, and again, I'm arguing for a guy. I can't believe I'm arguing for him. But when you talk about talent wise, when you watched him, you wouldn't put him in one of the top 5 athletic or talented persons in the WWE right now. When you watch Logan Paul, some of the moves that he did when he jumped over the rope.
But that's a weird question. Does that mean then that equates to him being the number 1 guy in the company? No, I would say no. I would say from athleticism, Seth Rollins is equally as athletic. They have athletes. But that level of athlete is a normal athlete today on that level. I would expect that out of anybody that's there. But I'm not down rapping. I'm just saying they could follow what you want to do with him now. But in a year from now, they beat him to death. He's like, all the fun's over. In a sense, we could bring him up and have a lot of really fun times with him and then give him the big one when everybody wants it. That's the best way to do wrestling because that's when everybody makes money. Now he's a star. He's already a star, but now he's a star. You know what I mean?
So is Gunther then their next? Like you mentioned last night, is Gunther their move? Is Gunther their? Is that the move?
Gunther Brock Lesnar is something that's being rumored for WrestleMania. Actually,
yeah. So let's paint that picture. Gunther now has come up perfectly. They've developed him really well over the X amount of years. They haven't beat him in a weird way. They don't down rep him on commentary. They don't make him look stupid. He doesn't chase anybody around the arena for some stupid title. Like they've taken. Yeah, he's not dancing some stupid gimmick, right? So now they have him lined up. If they put him in the ring with Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania and he loses to Brock Lesnar, but they have a banger, I mean a banger where there's kick out here and kick out there, okay. But that didn't work. He's got to beat him. He's got to beat him. He's got to beat him in the middle, clean, no joke, no kick out at 3, no guy running in, no weird stuff, because then that makes Gunther the man. Now, at the same time, right, Gunther, man, bad guy. Logan Paul, John Cena dust. Under Gunther now, babyface. These two now become B, heel and babyface, and they can ride together. Well, Roman's got to run his out. You understand? So Roman, heel, that faction runs out with whoever under him. Who would that be? I'm not really paying that close of attention. That's got to run out through WrestleMania. Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes comes out the other end. Gunther now becomes Cody Rhodes' opponent coming out the other side. That's how wrestling, you track guys that way. But if Gunther loses, you don't have that big heel for Cody to fight at SummerSlam. So that's why you got to be careful who you job and when you job them. Because when I say talent, I mean I don't mean talented. I'd call it like an athlete's talent.
Yeah.
So I think it's verbiage that might be getting us caught up too. He is a star and he deserves it, and he should be the main event. But don't blow my load. I don't need to blow my load now. Let's kiss a little bit. Let's go to dinner a few times.
Why is making somebody a champion doing that? Why are you like? I don't understand.
You only get one chance to do it one time. You only get your first title. when the babyface wins at the end at WrestleMania and he's sitting in the ring, he's crying. What's he crying about?
Daniel
All
Bryan,
of his
Kofi
achievements.
Kingston.
Yeah, if you do that in your first
Shawn
year,
Michaels.
if you do that in your first year, what do you do in your 8th year?
Well, what is Rollins doing right now? What is
Exactly.
what is the guy?
He's doing? He's fighting for the United States champion because they did that to him. They gave him a title right away. He was a champion right away. He wasn't ready for it, and now he's pissed out the back end.
Yeah, but the fans love him.
Well, yeah, he's still one of the top guys without question. But
right, he is now. But imagine if they didn't do that, how much of a star he would be. He wouldn't be fighting for the mid-ring title anymore. The point is, they beat you. They use wrestlers like prostitutes, and they beat them to death. 15 guys want to pound you today. Come on in, guys. They don't go, hold on, guys. Let's just do 10 today. Let's not blow this thing out because once we do, we can't do it anymore. I'm trying to give it to you as blunt as possible.
No, I know that, but it's like I feel bad. I feel bad for the executives over at WWE.
Wow. All right.
At this point.
So I'll change it. It's a show pony, and it's a purebred, and they have 5 of them. They don't say let's only run them once a week. They run them 10 times a day because 10 people want to bet on them. They don't care. Yeah. That's my point. So the storytelling is goofy. Us fans see it one way, and we want nostalgia. We want it done the right way. WWE sees it as churn and burn, and they know what we don't know, meaning people's personal lives, their ability to do their job, how they all communicate on the inside. Does the office like them? Do the people in gorilla position think those people are doing their job the right way? Do they sell merchandise? Did they say something stupid on social media 5 years ago and they got to get nailed? Like, this is the strangest business in the world because there's so many unknowns.
Well, what? All right. So, well, on a positive note, on a very positive note, we have a Gunther going against Ricochet tomorrow night. And one other thing I want to talk about before we go is the re-involvement of Kurt Angle in everywhere that we're seeing. Did you the big tribute they played for him last Friday, and then again it was very cool to see, and then followed up with this past Monday. And are they trying to bring this Shush guy up in using, because he's a real wrestler? Are they like bringing in Kurt Angle to try to boost this guy up? Because it seemed like now there's a storyline between the Shush guy and Kurt Angle. Did you see what happened with the Raw? He didn't get into the birthday party, or a SmackDown last week. He didn't get into the birthday party, and they started making this all a rivalry in a way.
So Chad Gable has been compared to Kurt Angle for many years because of their wrestling background. Gable participated in the Olympics. Obviously, Kurt Angle is an Olympic gold medalist. Chad Gable is not. But they've been compared to each other over the years. You know, very similar comedic skills. They're great, obviously, in the ring. They look great. They're shorter guys, you know, in terms of comparison to others. So there's always been parallels to that. Kurt Angle wrestled Chad Gable on Monday Night Raw.
I was there.
I was very well. You got knocked out by Ronda Rousey.
One of his last matches ever was against Chad Gable.
So they had done a little bit, had touched that. I don't think there's something.
You know what it is. It's because they both have the wrestling thing, and really just like it's like, well, Kurt Angle's here. What do we do? We'll put him with Chad Gable. Like it's by default.
And they're yin and yang they work off each other very well, because Gable's such a dorky bad guy that you want to boo him, you want him to get punched in the face, and Kurt's like the all-American good guy through and through. Yeah. So it's just a perfect dynamic, and again they play off each other very, very well. So I don't know if anything, maybe I'm wrong, maybe there's something bigger that could potentially come out of it, but I think it's just something that in those certain spots where they bring Kurt back in, it just makes a lot of sense to put them together. And I'm sure we could ask Kurt very, very soon. We have him back.
Yeah, next week. He'll be on next week, and we'll have that announcement about that big thing that we're doing on December 30th, big charity event. But for tomorrow night's SmackDown, with Gunther against Ricochet, Vito convinced me yesterday that Gunther is going to be a new emerging superstar. I had thought when I originally saw that this was a match that Ricochet would win because of all the moves that he has and all this. But now I'm seeing that this tomorrow night is positioned for some interesting props, because he's got 2 finishes with that slam. That's how he's finished them. The 2 matches seemed like they were pretty quick. One was a 3-minute, one was an 8-minute. It seems like we're set up for some tricks, if that makes any sense, for some right turns. We think they're going a certain direction, and they're just going to go way out in left field. Does that make sense? Is that a possibility tomorrow night to make that match last longer?
Yeah, without question.
Yes.
Because they have built, Ricochet, they've always kind of wanted to get behind him and never have really pulled the trigger. And then they did the World Cup tournament, which they did treat like a big deal. And they gave him this big baby face, confetti coming down, reaction, crying, this and that. And they really built that up. So then does he just win that tournament to just lose again? I don't think so. I could easily see him winning with like some sort of roll up, a quick move, because he's not going to just hit a big move and pin Gunther. I think 1-3. I think there's something very quick, a flash pin where it doesn't hurt Gunther. He's shocked. He was caught off guard. But also, too, if Gunther is going to move up to be a Brock Lesnar opponent, when you hold a mid-card title, like the U.S. title, the Intercontinental title, it almost kind of weighs you down to a certain spot on the card. Once they pull that title off of you, then you could spread your wings and fly. There's been many examples over the years of guys winning those two championships and holding on to it because they're kind of deemed. Because back in like the early 90s, and Vito could probably speak this better, when you were the Intercontinental champion, that means you were the next guy. It's not necessarily like that anymore, but that was like in the early 90s when Shawn Michaels or whoever else would have it, The Rock, that they were being groomed to be the next WWE champion. So in Gunther's case, I think there is an opportunity to get that title off him so then he can then spread his wings and go and take on someone like Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, where a title doesn't have to be on the line. Brock Lesnar is not going to win the Intercontinental title. That's beneath him.
There's a few ways that you could pivot on that, and you can make it make sense. Do they want to make the Intercontinental belt important? If they do, they keep it on Gunther. He still goes against Brock Lesnar for the Intercontinental title, and he beats Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar's never won the Intercontinental title. There's also
the thing is,
history there.
Yeah, and it would be weird because the fans are like, why would he even want to fight for it? But he wants to fight for it because Gunther's a bad motherfucker. But then if they put those two guys in that match, and then that match becomes a match at WrestleMania, and then Gunther beats him very clean, makes sense, and he keeps continuing on as his powerhouse Intercontinental champion, that belt is now more important than any belt they have on their entire card because they just elevated it. That's important to do too. Do I see them doing that? No. I see them getting it off of him here because it's easy. It's far enough away from WrestleMania where it doesn't hurt him going into the build of WrestleMania. It gives Ricochet coming off of that thing that he did. And I see it something like this. I see them both on the second top rope, chop, right? Maybe a headbutt, something, boom, something like Ricochet gives him the big boot, or maybe like something, he falls down, boots him in the face, Ricochet, something, double flip, 1, 2, 3, and then I think he beats Gunther that way. Double moonsault or double 450. That's how I see the finish happening. Ricochet, new Intercontinental champion after taking 35 chops to the chest.
Yeah, he's got to get beat up the whole match before he comes through and wins that match, because you got to give him that sympathy so that when he does win, the crowd goes nuts. Like he's getting his butt kicked the whole time, and then he comes and escapes at the end. I don't think Ricochet's the favorite in the match by any stretch of the imagination if we're talking props. There's still a risk in picking him, but there is a pathway into him winning this match that
he's a good he's a live dog. He's a live dog.
It's more about getting the belt off Gunther so than helping him Ricochet. From visually, I think on their perspective, like how do we get the belt off Gunther? Let's get him off of him here. More so than helping Ricochet. And Ricochet was like, well, who do we put it on? Put it on Ricochet. Because they'll have a great match. Those guys are going to have if they give those two 15 minutes, those two are going to blow your mind. Blow your mind.
Such different clashing styles that also work so well together.
And they want each other.
One is a high flyer, and the other one always has his feet on the ground, right? I mean, isn't that a good way, right? I mean, that's kind of a way to look at it.
They're hybrid, yeah. But like the
big guy off his feet.
Ricochet is such a hybrid. It's almost insulting to compare him to Rey Mysterio because he does those similar things, but he's also like 4 or 5 inches taller than Rey Mysterio, or like 6 or 6 taller than Rey Mysterio. He's not a midget or a smaller person or a little person. No, he's an average athlete. Midget wrestlers are midget wrestlers for years, and now I can't call them midget wrestlers anymore.
Do you know what? Do you know? Hold on. Do you know that there's actually in Ohio I found this. There is a whole independent wrestling league that's called like the Midget Wrestlers League.
Micro wrestling. Micro midgets. They tour everywhere, man. They make
the M word, but yeah.
You use the midget word. If you know like Teo or those guys, they all call themselves Puppet. All those guys, they all call themselves midgets. That's what I mean. This new thing is not.
Yeah. To steer back for a second, Vito's also being modest because Vito was influential in Ricochet's early career as well.
I trained him, helped train him a lot with all in the beginning. We taught him how to work.
Did you teach him this wraparound neck flip, whatever he does. This doesn't he jump up and like wrap around the dude's head and flip him by his neck?
6 seconds magic. So you come up the ropes, hook the head, go around the back, then come back around the head. 6 seconds magic. That's really hard to do, and he does it really well. But no, Ricochet used to look like this really homeless kid, and he was half the size,
like sideshow bob hair. Yep.
Yeah, and we used to beat his ass. Him and Chuck Taylor, we beat their ass, and I mean beat their ass. And they took it. And then out of nowhere, he went to Japan and he became a huge star, man. And now he's on TV, and he's really good. He's a good dad. He's a good person, and he's really nice. So that's why he loses, because he doesn't stick up for himself in some weird ways. And but he is a tremendous talent. But he's too nice.
So one of the things we probably need to touch on real quick, and then I'm going to ask this because it just triggered with what your comment was, and then I'm going to get a prop from each of you guys for tomorrow night. Matt Riddle, where do you see this going?
To drug rehab.
No, but do you see them taking a chance on elevating him after this?
I do, because he got popped for it a long time ago, and they let him continue doing what he was doing, and they kept pushing him on TV until it was calm to take him off.
I don't
they
think
love him.
Yeah.
Can it be a different fucking character, or do we have to put up with this bro shit?
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna say this. Yeah, that's who he is. So you have to like make him not act that way. I don't know if it's possible. I know this much. In the last few years, that guy's done a lot to his personal life. And I also think that they see that. And I think wrestling didn't help it either. And I think when all the chaos that he's put into his life, he needs a break. And I think he needs a reset as a person. And I'm hoping that as who he is, I hope he does a rehab, and he does a mental rehab too, and finds out why he was putting so much chaos into his home life. That's a thing, man. Wrestlers put chaos into their home lives. And then on the other end of it, the ones that do really well are the ones that can clean that up and not have it be affecting them. Like look at Seth Rollins and Becky. They're married, and they're a successful company, or a couple that you can say that are doing it pretty successfully. But you cross your fingers. But usually by now it's a mess, and they both have lost their jobs over it.
Okay. You know? So tomorrow night, the main match is Ricochet Gunther, right? I mean, Roman Reigns is supposed to be there, but we're not expecting him to wrestle, are we?
Frank, let me ask you a question. Frank, over under chops for real, because Gunther's gonna chop the shit out of him, right? That's gonna be the main offense. Over under chops. Is 13 crazy?
I don't think 13 is crazy. It feels a little high. It feels a little high.
But is 11 and a half
possible? Yeah.
But if you do 7, they're blowing past 7.
I could see them really just beating the living hell out of him, and his chest is all red.
Because the one thing I was trying to explain to Tom was the whole thing with the whole when you're putting that match together, if Gunther just keeps bumping him and bumping him and bumping him and bumping him, and Ricochet's kicking out and kicking out and kicking out. Yeah, sure, it helps Ricochet, but that doesn't help Gunther. Chopping and just beating him, headbutting him, and leaving him laying.
Every chop, yeah.
Yeah, but you can also get a lot more out of that than you do these bumps, right? Because it's like, but it's not their kickouts are like, he can still kick out if you're getting chopped. Yep. So I can see a lot of chops in this match to protect everybody, but also allow Ricochet to win. Over under 11 and a half. What do you take that bet? Yes or no?
Whew, so the fact that has me thinking tells me that's a good number. I would lean slight under, and I wouldn't be surprised if it went over.
Now let me ask you this: what if it was an incredible favorite of over 11 and a half? Is that intriguing enough for you to pick the over?
Like if you get a lot of points based on him
if the points was valid enough.
I think there's a lot of value in that.
Tom?
So what about well, first of all, if I have a question before I answer your question, because I saw 2 things in his matches. One was like an uppercut with the elbow, like he did this uppercut with an elbow, and then he did the slap across the chest. When you say chops, are you talking about the slap across the chest?
Because always think Ric Flair, yes.
The other one's the uppercut.
And then the uppercut with the elbow, what is that called? Is that what it's called? Uppercut with an elbow? What is it called?
It's called a European uppercut.
Yeah, you're not hitting with your elbow, you're hitting with like your forearm, but you come in and you kind of like invert it as you come in.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that one of his? Is he known for that? Because it seemed like he did that a lot too.
Okay. Yeah. So like instead of him punching you.
Yeah. He does
Europe,
that.
No, not him. In Europe, that style of fighting, they do European uppercuts like a gentleman. It's like a gentleman attack. Like it's not punching in the face. It's a professional.
You're not hitting him in the face. You're hitting him in the chest.
Yeah, and it's like playing rugby or something. It's part of the sport. If that makes sense. It's a different way to strike.
So I think there needs to be both, because I saw him do a lot of those, both of those moves in one of the 2 Ricochet matches that I saw, which led him to do the suplex. He did those, and then he did that front suplex slam, whatever you want to call it, and won the match.
I think it might be interesting that you could say how many times does Ricochet kick out?
Yeah.
Over under
Near
6.5? Not even
Is that
near
a 2
falls,
count?
Kick out.
Is that 2 count?
It could be either way.
I think if someone gets pinned, you have to count it as a pinfall, because now we're splitting hairs.
Yeah.
There's way more 2 counts than 1 count in wrestling. Traditionally, there are always 2 counts.
Well,
yeah.
Here's what I'll tell you. Watching, I don't remember which match it was this past weekend, but one of the women's matches had about 16 of them. I'm like, this has to stop. Somebody has to just sit there for 3. Let's get it over.
Stop it. Yeah. So, no, but I think coming out of that, if we do European uppercuts, I think over under 6.5, and having the favorite be over would be fun. But then I think chops 11.5, having the under be strong.
No,
Or
Frank also.
over be
Frank,
strong. What do you think, Frank?
Frank, you mentioned something here about, you think it could be a very quick match.
Well,
That's
no,
interesting.
I don't think it'll be a quick match.
No way.
I think that there could be a quick finish when I say quick finish, I mean something that catches you out of nowhere. The match itself
Okay.
could be 10 to 12 minutes long, but the finish, it's not telegraphed. It's not like, oh, here comes the finishing move. It's something, quick strike, whatever. And then Ricochet maybe rolls them up and gets a small package, 1, 2, 3 out of nowhere. Everyone goes, oh.
Okay. Check it out. Look, they're both going to be on the ropes. Gunther will be on top. Gunther will be beating Ricochet's ass. Gunther will get pushed off. Gunther will fall on the ground. Ricochet will take 1 step to the top rope. Ricochet will hit a really gigantic move, and he'll hit him 1, 2, 3. Write it down, folks.
And then what is Roman Reigns? What is Reigns doing at this event? Is it just saying hi because he's been out with an injury? Is that pretty much it?
I think it's just they like to promote when he is available because he's not there every single week. And it's in Chicago this week. Chicago's a very lively crowd. So they teasing a little backstage segment that he might have something for Sammy. Who knows what it will be? I don't think it'll be anything negative, but I think they're kind of painting that picture as if there might be. Sammy looked a little worried when Jey Uso told him that their Roman's going to be back and he has something for him. So I just think it's going to be they all come out, they do a promo. There's a lot of drama to it. And I think they're all one big happy family at the end of it. But it'll be a matter of who interrupts them, and I would assume it's going to be Kevin Owens.
Ooh, boy, that'll be interesting. All right, I'm actually starting to like that feud, the old Kevin Owens against that whole Usos feud. I'm actually starting to dig it. All right, are you fighting tomorrow night, or what are you doing tomorrow night in Chicago? What are you doing?
Tomorrow night, I will be at Freelance Wrestling at the Logan Square Auditorium in Chicago, Illinois. I'll be managing my freelance champion, Big Robbie E. Robert Anthony, who will he's to paint the picture, he's been champion at this promotion for over a year now. He's facing a guy from Texas named Mysterious Q. Great wrestler. He's a big guy. He's really athletic. He's going to be a big challenge, but as we always do, we come out on top. And then the next night, Frank Pound's going to sell out another venue in Chicago Heights, Illinois, Warrior Wrestling, in which he'll be involved in 2 matches. His child prodigy, Trevor Outlaw, will be taking on Mance Warner, who Vito is very familiar with and I know is a big fan of. I don't know. He gave me a snarl, maybe not. And then one of the main events of the night, my child sensation, his name is Storm Grayson. He'll be taking on one half of the AEW Tag Team Champions.
Your child sensation? You call him that?
Yeah, Boy Wonder, Child Sensation, Child Prodigy. I have nicknames for all my boys. What are you talking about?
Child Sensation sounds gross.
Is there any chance that Vito comes out of the stands with a chair and it hits a wrestler and helps
They have no money. They can't afford you, bro.
They gotta take care of the kid.
This is the thing.
And by the way, if he did come out of the crowd with a chair, the crowd would be very confused and he'd get no reaction. So
you want to know what's funny about me? I guarantee if I went to that show, people would know who the fuck I am because I started the Chicago wrestling scene, Frank.
People
started it.
2 people.
Hey,
but it would be people. Hey,
in
certain pockets, Vito comes out with a chair, he's getting a reaction.
Hold on.
I'm not going to short sell him, but not everywhere.
Let's take a step back, though. Behind the scenes in the wrestling business, people still pick up the phone for your boy Vito. Come on, I've been out of the business a long time.
People will take Vito's call, yeah. But if he were to come with a chair on Saturday night from the ring, I can't say he would get a big reaction.
I almost should. First off, I get arrested. Now the company would be like, what are you doing here?
I would bet a prop on that. Will 5 people in the crowd know who Vito is? And I'll take the
no.
I want to bet I would have a prop on it. Who would react? I would want to see not who would react in a pot. I would want to see who would like what wrestlers would be like. What the fuck? Who is this dude? And can we kick his ass, or is this part of the deal? Like I want the hidden cam.
You get Eddie Kingston's on the card. You get a reaction out of Eddie Kingston.
You got to understand something right now. If I got out there in front of people, it would be so over in general because I know what to do in front of people. I am an old carny. Immediately the red light goes on, your boy's on. Immediately on. So I would make it hype as fuck. And by the end of it, they would be talking about it, whether it was good, bad, or indifferent. Get at your boy.
Awesome. That's awesome.
My boy,
listen.
Get at your boy.
I'm gonna bail. I gotta go put these odds together for tomorrow night. But next week we have Kurt Angle back on. And then we're preparing for the following week. Which will have a lot more shows, I think, the week of the 26th through the 30th, preparing for running the 2023. But we have that big event coming up for St. Jude's on December 30th. And the crazy part about it is when we put that together, we had no idea that John Cena's name was going to be thrown out there and part of that.
Huge.
So now I think it's going to cause more people to tune in, which is going to give us more opportunities to come up with great props and questions for that match. So I'm looking forward to that. But I'm gonna bail. You guys have the rest of a good show, and we'll talk a little later.
Well, we stayed a little longer with Mitch, but he had some really good points and some feedback and good questions too. Let me ask you though, Frank. It's the holding pattern. What are you most excited about right now in the wrestling industry? What's that one thing before we close it down? Anything?
I'm excited for John Cena. I love John Cena.
He looks weird though. He has a weird body now. His head looks a little weird. His ears are a little
weird. He's got the
Hollywood
body. He slimmed down a bit. He looks great still, and he got the hair. It's not the John Cena we're accustomed to seeing because he really looked the same for so many years.
Yeah,
but I love that man. I mean, I was there for really his heyday, and I was there ringside for much of it. John Cena is a big Frank the Clown fan, and Frank the Clown is a big John Cena fan, and
obviously,
and I would love to see him. I'm very excited to see what he does and what he comes up with. Because Cena doesn't come back Cena's very creative. He knows what he's doing. Like he doesn't come back for nothing. When he involves himself in something, it's always really, really good. He makes it really good. And he's always been one of the most believable guys. Everything he touches turns to gold, and his promos and stuff that you go back to stuff is obviously Punk, but like even going like with The Rock and AJ Styles and so many guys over the years where like it's canvas television when Cena's on there. Like he's a true draw in an era where there's not a lot of draws left.
It's very true. It's a perfect way to say it. So again, for Vito, for Frank the Clown, and for Mitch, and everyone over here at Dialed In Podcast and Sport Hitters, we thank you again for this week, and we'll see you all next week.
Jacked.
Look at that. It looks like a